Right, this has single-handedly been the most annoying video I have had to make. Originally, I just wanted to record the laptop screen, like do a screen capture thing. But OBS, the software, my laptop's so old and shit that it didn't work. It just captured the first frame, and it like lagged on that for the whole video. So now what I'm having to do is I'm having to film my laptop sat on a couch. What you do, just pretend it is like a screen capture thing, and you can't see like the bits of the couch on the side or the computer there. You just see this, or my hands, you just see the screen, just pretend that. Actually, I'll bring it a bit closer so you can do that easier. Right, this video is about everybody's favourite beggar, Mark Waid. Specifically, this is about Captain America, issue 14, which is written by Mark Waid and drawn by Andy Kubert. Now, the interesting thing about this issue is that there's actually 3 different versions of it. There's the first version, which is written by Mark Waid, which Marvel refused to publish. Then there is a second version, the version that Marvel printed, which Mark Waid had his name taken off the credits of. And then there is the third version, this version. It's the only version that I can find. This is meant to be like a composite version of the two, but it's really just the third version. And this one, it does credit Mark Waid on the credits there. Mark Waid and Andy Kubert, storytellers. And the existence of this third one is covered a bit better in this other image here. It's from a trade paperback. I'll just let it focus on the writing. Right. Before publication, the original version of Mark Waid and Andy Kubert's story for Captain America issue 14 was deemed potentially offensive and radically rewritten and re-edited prior to seeing print. Presented here for the first time is their original version of this issue. Now that is actually a lie. As I said before, this is a third version. This one is still censored. To see the original version, we're going to have to go to Comic Book Resources, which is a rubbish website that is very broken. They do this thing called Comic Book Urban Legends Revealed. Most of the article, though, it is just padding. But we have this one here about this issue of Captain America. Comic Urban Legend. Mark Waid took his name off an issue of Captain America because editorial changed his story after approving Waid's script. Status. True. And then we've got all this right up here about what happened. Then we've got a statement from Mark Waid. And then we've got some low resolution images and the original script there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just read this article because I have a suspicion that this article might suddenly go missing. Mark Waid's run on Captain America right before Heroes Reborn was a highly critically acclaimed hit. Oh, it was awful. So it was great news when it was announced that he would be writing Captain America again, following Heroes Reborn. However, Waid's second run on Captain America hit a bit of a snag with issue 14, which was an issue spotlighting Red Skull, who was seemingly killed in Waid's first Captain America arc. The controversy actually resulted in Waid requesting that his name be removed from the issue, which Marvel acquiesced to on the interior, but actually failed to do on the cover of the issue. And there's the original cover, and you can see there, Mark Waid is still credited. This is what you get when you have Tom Beevor as chief editor executive. A writer wants his name removed from an issue, but it's still on the bloomin' cover. And then we get on to this statement here from Waid. Waid explained the situation in a message on AOL's message boards. And when I first did this video, I actually read this in a normal voice. But then I realised there's actually a lot of bitterness and resentment to pretty much everything he says here. Like, it's quite clear that he's really angry about it. Just a second, it starts there. I really didn't want to have to get into this here, but I'm tired of dealing with email after email. So here's a blanket answer to the question, why isn't your name in Captain America 14? Right. Despite what the error of having my name on the cover might imply, the contents of Captain America 14 aren't my work. The majority of the image descriptions and many of the early captions are my writing, but weeks after my story received approval from Marvel's editor-in-chief, and after the book was subsequently lettered, coloured, read and approved by several editors, separated and made ready to print, that same editor-in-chief decided, as within his rights, yet despite previous approvals, to have the story completely altered and substantially rewritten, dropping entire sequences and pages and assigning several other pages to staffers to read dialogue from scratch. As a result, what was printed isn't even close to the story I set out to tell. Nor was I asked for input in any of the alterations made. It's absolutely within Marvel's editorial right to make any and all changes to work for hire as they see fit, and I in no way challenge that right. They buy it, it's theirs to do with as they wish, with or without my input. It's upsetting and warrants the removal of my name only when Marvel's editors renege on prior approvals without warning and do so while delivering to me a lecture as if I'd done Marvel an injustice by writing an approved story instead of even the vaguest hint of an apology or regret. To leave my name on a story no longer mine cheats the readers and cheats me. Hence my insistence on distancing myself from the final printed version. And then we have got the original script here. These are some really low-res images of the original version, the censored version. But the actual original script that Marvel never published, this never published it in that trade, they've never published a script as like a bonus. This is really, really damning for Mark Waid. Like, we all know that Ethan Van Sciver, he gets called a Nazi because he drew a villain using Nazi imagery to represent their evil. Loads of artists have done this though, and they haven't been labelled a Nazi. Patrick Zurcher did it with Thunderballs. And this here, what Mark Waid writes, from the perspective of a Nazi, this is more damning than any art. This is, if Ethan Van Sciver is a Nazi, then this makes Mark Waid the Führer. Just a second, I'll get to the juicy bits. Right, this is where we begin with the really intense stuff. Once we were keepers of the truth, that the Aryan race is the master race, that Nazism is a white light bright and pure enough to burn away the blacks and the yellows and the reds and the browns which darken the world. They never published that. Here, you might be thinking, well, yeah, he's writing as a Nazi, you might be thinking, that's artistic. But how about here, where we have got, these are like directions, these are like directions for the artist. This isn't going to be printed, this is just him describing stuff. Like, why is he writing this in the mindset of a Nazi? Full page, the centre of downtown Berlin, but it's awash in multicultural influences. Times Square by way of Blade Runner. It seems like every 3 feet the culture changes. Sushi signs, billboards featuring rich black athletes, Asian supermodels, a Jewish storefront. Temple everywhere you look. So that was one Jewish storefront temple everywhere you look. Germany's become a melting pot, and there's Skull small in the middle of it as he walks up the street looking around in disgust. And where's a really bad... this one here, I'm actually going I'm going to show this in the third version of the comic to prove that it isn't the original script at all. I awake to the fetid stench of the Chinese, or the Japanese, or the Africans, or whichever accursed minority has chosen to pretend it has any right to lay its hands upon one who would uphold the Nazi principles. And then we go over to Captain America 14 here. It'll probably take ages to load because my computer is old and broken. I think it's about page number 8. Just let it load in. Right, no, it's not page number 8. It must be page number... Yeah, page number 10. I awake to the fetid stench. Yep, we agree, that is where it's beginning. I awake to the fetid stench of the foreigners from the East. Huh, that's odd, there is a huge block there as if something has been left out. Of whichever accursed minority has chosen to pretend it has any right to lay its hands upon one who would uphold the Nazi principles. Let's see what they've opted to leave out here. I awake to the fetid stench of the Chinese, or the Japanese, or the Africans. So they've left that out there. I wonder why. Maybe because it is potentially offensive. Maybe it's because it's racist. And then, of course, obviously, it's the same with pretty much everything in the issue. We don't have this rubbish about the white light bright and pure enough Aryans, or burn away the blacks, the yellows, and the reds, and the Jews, and the browns, or whatever. Not all that's just conveniently left out in the original version. But basically, my point is, right, Mark Waid, right, he had a temper tantrum, one of his trademark temper tantrums, because Marvel wouldn't publish his original script because they deemed it potentially offensive. A script where he fully went into the mind of a Nazi and wrote such things as, well, I've read them, I'm not reading them again because they're pretty vile. He was really angry that Marvel weren't publishing this, but I thought, like, surely Martin Waid, like the social justice warrior that he is, the defender of the weak, him, surely he would kick off about someone trying to publish racial hatred like that. Why is he? So you know what? I think that this Martin Waid fella is a fucking hypocrite. I think that he is in no way behind such things as racial equality or defending minorities. I mean, there's loads of examples of him bullying at least 2 Asian-run businesses, Alterna Press and Antarctic Press. No, Alterna Comics and Antarctic Press. And then there's this story about him bullying this couple that owned a comic book shop. Then there's loads of stories about him being leery with women at conventions. I don't think that this Martin Waid is anything that he says he is. I mean, let's just end with one of his great quotes here. Once we were the keepers of the truth, that the Aryan race is the master race, that Nazism is a white light bright and pure enough to burn away the blacks and the yellows and the reds and the browns which darken the world. So normally this is where I'd end the video by saying, oh, I rate this comic 7 thumbs up, but this is a laptop and it's broken, so I'm not going to rate this 7 thumbs up. This is just racial hatred that Martin Waid is angry that they didn't publish.